Donald Trump's $1.8 billion slush fund, which was brought onto the scene in this incredibly crooked settlement that his own government made, negotiating against itself for him. But Judge Brinkema in Northern Virginia has said, not so fast. And apparently, for now, at least, the White House has caved on this. Talk to me about where you see the political reaction to this slush fund, because everything I saw in the polling and even among our old Republican friends, this did not go over well.
No, and because even the weak-kneed Republicans first were opposed to what happened on January 6th, right? They came out and did all of that, and then they sort of got to the point where they were like, well, it was, they didn't want to call it an insurrection, but they called it a, crime. There's no way you can defend this. I'm going to give money to people that beat up police officers, right?
No.
I'm going to give money that went through the court system, went through jury trials, went through all of that, were caught defecating on desks and all of the things that they did, ruining the Capitol. You cannot, you can squeeze your sort of mind into the thing about not calling it insurrection, but you can't squeeze your mind in how do you reward people that broke the law?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. It's like the pardons were a really hard lift, but you could squint sideways and see how Trump could, and that in the blanket way he did it, justify it to himself. But you can't justify rewarding them with money. Enrique Tarrio was saying he needed $10 million out of this fund. All these people that Roger Stone and all these other people who wanted a slice of this pie, they all thought they had this big money piñata and they were going to go up and they were going to hit it just as hard as they hit those cops on January 6th. And it's interesting to me how much blowback Trump got from John Thune, from even House Republicans who were like, this is not good, Chief.
Well, that's one question I had for you. And of course, of all these conversations we had about all of the Trump stuff, Iran and Texas and all the thing is, I mean, I guess you and I keep waiting for the Republicans to grow a spine, in the course of this. Yeah. And even their spine in this was not that sturdy. They came out, and that's why I think, and we'll have many more of these conversations. That's why at some point people are going to be like, yeah, Trump's serving out his term and Trump's doing this, but should I really blame? And who should I really blame in what's going on in my life and in what's going on? And ultimately, in my view, because the Republicans refused to even stand up to him. I mean, they didn't stand up to him. They haven't stood up to him on Iran. They haven't stood up to him on any of this. And you hear these guys, these Republican congressmen on the talk about the price of gas, like as you said, like trying to convince people of a reality that doesn't exist in this. Is I think we're at the point where people are like, yeah, Trump is an idiot. Trump's this, Trump's this, Trump's, but like, who's allowing Trump to be the idiot? Who's allowing Trump to be corrupt? Who's allowing? And it's the Republican Congress.
Yeah, I think that's why when it comes right down to it, the people empowering him and enabling him and excusing him have consistently been the members of Mike Johnson's caucus, and probably 50% of the Senate who are all in for Trump, Senate Republicans who are all in for Trump. But one thing I think they've all underestimated, we see these little flickers of like maybe there's some political survival instinct among a couple of them. Brian Fitzpatrick and Mike Lawler, they're sort of like creeping away from him a little bit. But I don't think that they understand that the voters always gave Trump a pass. He his corruption and his terrible nature was sort of baked in the cake. The reality TV stuff, it made him a little more insulated from all that. That was always sort of like a baseline. They don't get the same forgiveness. If somebody came in your house named John Smith and acted the way Trump does, you'd call protective services. You'd get a restraining order. And a lot of these guys in non-deep red districts, if you're not in an R+15 district right now, I think you're in a lot of trouble because you can't explain yourself. You can't. Yeah, I voted with him 99.7% of the time because I had to. And I know I hurt you all because of that, but I had to. And I don't think voters buy that as much right now, especially with the
No,
economy
and
really hitting them in the head.
and again, well, you and I will have a number of more conversations about this heading into the midterms. But when 2018, when the Democrats did really well, when Trump was unpopular, Trump is way more unpopular today than he was.
Way more unpopular.
His on election day, his net negative approval rating was -9. His on election day in 2018, when the Democrats did well, it's -29 right now.
Right.
And Trump had a positive rating on the economy. In the midterms.
Yeah. I mean, and he was 57% approval on the economy in 2018 still. Imagine the impact now. Again, for our Democratic friends, please don't get cocky. Please don't.
Oh no, you can't, especially with what happens with redistricting and the states that we have to win in the Senate races.
Yeah. But it is. I mean, this is the best environment we could ask for. We couldn't pay them to build a better political environment for us right now. And I think that again, that insulation Trump gets from sort of like ordinary lower propensity voters, it does not apply to generic Republicans. It doesn't even apply to Republicans in a lot of red states. It doesn't apply to Ken Paxton. That guy doesn't have the same immunity to voter distaste that Trump does. It's always priced in with Trump. Speaking of Texas, by the way, I thought it was fascinating that the first thing they go to is culture war with Talarico. And I'd say as a candidate, I've loved how adept he's been at inverting that culture war in the last few days. I think he's showing that agility in terms of laughing off the culture war and getting back to the economic message, which I think is his main path to victory.
I agree. And I think that's a race because of Paxton and because of the talent of Talarico. The talent of Talarico is I think is a 50-50 race today. And
100%.
And I think he's been ever since Paxton. I mean, Talarico said some really smart things. The first thing he said something nice about Cornyn, and he said, I just want to say you're good, good on you in public service, and I look forward to earning your voters. Smart move.
Yep.
And then he did the thing about when they accused him of like being a vegan or whatever it is. And then he had that statement, which I thought was so funny, that statement where he said, I've been eating barbecue long before Paxton had his first indictment. And then he said, I'm happy to have a debate with Paxton because I have a legislative record and he has a criminal record, which I thought, brilliant. I think that the culture wars in the midst of a damaged economy, crazy war in Iran, and Trump's low approval is so dumb.
I think it's really, but it just tells me how desperate they're looking at, how desperate they see the map looks for them, not only in Texas but nationally, and there's a sense. I'm watching a couple of these Democratic candidates like Talarico, obviously. David Jolly in Florida is really, really connecting on the economy. John Ossoff, that speech, I don't know if you saw it this week. That speech he gave was magnificent.
He's a talent, man. The guy's
as a speechwriter, I was just like, I'm so jealous. I wish I'd done this. This was astounding. So he's really a rising star right now.
He is a talent.